Man, this is rough. This is rough. Ravens flock, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys, well, can't say you guys are enjoying your day. I know Ravens flock, they are disappointed, they're in pain, they're shell-shocked. This was a tough one, and we got to talk about it. Even though we don't want to talk about it, this has to be discussed. So, Ravens flock, the Ravens come up short in the AFC Championship game. They fall 17-10 against the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going home. The Chiefs are advancing to their fourth Super Bowl in the last 6 years. 4 Super Bowls in 6 years in the Mahomes era. Shout out to them. You're one win away from establishing your dynasty. Congrats to the Chiefs. You did what you needed to do. You came into our house. You got the win. Credit to you guys. Best of luck in the Super Bowl. We always like to show sportsmanship here, so I'm giving you your credit. It was a tough game. It was a hard-fought game. At the end of the day, both teams played 60 minutes, and the results is you guys are going to the Super Bowl. So shout out to you guys. Best of luck in the Super Bowl. Back to the Ravens. This was a tough loss, guys. This was a very tough loss. This is probably one of the more painful losses in franchise history. It's right up there with the Billy Cundiff loss in the 2011 AFC Championship game because you felt this was a game you had to have. You felt it was a game that you should have had. You felt that you were the better team coming in. On paper, you're the better team. In terms of roster construction, you are the better team, but you did not play like the better team overall as a unit. And because you didn't play like the better team for 60 minutes, you are going home. So it's very tough. It's very difficult. I know a lot of Ravens fans are emotional, but gotta accept it, gotta move on. And my advice to you guys, please, please, please do not try to engage with all these guys online. All these people are going to say whatever they want to say about Lamar, whatever they want to say about the Ravens for choking, whatever they're going to say, do not engage. Take a couple days off from social media. Get away from the noise. Go do some other stuff. Hang out with your friends. Go to events. Do whatever you got to do. Just stay away from this. It's just not good. I don't want anyone to have any sort of bad mentality while dealing with all these other talkers because you know the media is going to be on our case for losing this. Guys, please, put yourself in the right mind space. Step away from this stuff. Now that our season's over, step away. Go do other things and clear your mind. With that being said, guys, let's get right into recapping this game. So the defense. We'll start with the defense because the defense, you got to be proud of what they did in the second half. To start this game off, the defense was very shaky. I didn't like what I saw defensively. Mahomes ended the first quarter perfect from the field. He was 10 of 10 passing and had a touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. I mean, he was just diming and dealing against our defense, and they didn't show any sort of fight. It just felt like the defense came out here to concede to Mahomes and the Chiefs. That first half where they gave up 17 points was unacceptable by the Ravens defense. That's not how they've looked all season. It was unacceptable. They went into that locker room. They had whatever discussion they need to have. They had whatever conversations they need to have. They went out there for the second half, and I can proudly say the Ravens defense looked like the Ravens defense we saw all season. 0 points given up in the second half. That's what I'm talking about. Because of the Ravens defense, we were able to stay alive in this game. They gave us ample opportunities to try to come back and take the lead in this game, and unfortunately, we weren't able to capitalize. But shout out to the defense for playing the way they played in the second half. They were locked in. They were locking everything up. They were making the plays, and I appreciate how this defense played. That is championship type defense. And we got to say this, man. The Ravens defense in the playoffs, they've generally shown up. The defense is not a problem. I don't like how they played in the first half, but the second half showcases exactly why they've been the dominant defense all season. They did their job. So shout out to those guys. They did their jobs. The defense was not the reason we unfortunately lost this game. Once again, it falls on the offense. So defensively, there's not much to really say here. First half was shaky. Didn't like what I saw there, but they made the adjustments they needed to. Shout out to Mike McDonald for making the adjustments he needed to at halftime. And you saw how that defense played. They did their job. They made some stops. They made sure they gave up no points in the second half, and they gave us a chance to try to win this game. So shout out to the defense. Of course, people will probably look at Millette for giving up that last play to Valdez-Scantling that pretty much put the game on ice because maybe we get the football back and maybe we tie it. Who knows? But the fact that the defense for much of the game did their job and held out as much as they could, you got to give them credit. They held Mahomes to 17 points. You can only ask for so much. To hold Mahomes to 17 points, that's huge. So shout out to the defense for doing their job. Unfortunately, you won't be playing in the Super Bowl, but you guys are a championship-type defense. Hopefully, we're able to keep a lot of these pieces here because this defense balled out this year, and I would love to see this defense, a lot of pieces on this defense just come back for next year. But yeah, shout out to the defense. You guys did your job. As for the offense, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't know what it's going to take for you guys to get over the hump, but it continues to be tough. It continues to be, painful, and it continues to be embarrassing to watch. You guys played a very, very dumb game of football. You played an incredibly dumb game of football. I don't know what the Ravens offense was doing today. I don't know what Todd Monken was doing today. I'm not even sure that was the Ravens offense we've seen. That Ravens offense is not the same offense we've seen all year. And I don't understand why the Ravens can't just find a way to bring their offense into the postseason. We thought they got over the hump last week against Houston because they started playing to their game in the second half. Today, they didn't even look remotely close to what they were. It just felt like as soon as they got down early, they panicked and said, we can't do what we do best, which is running the ball. I think they ran the ball 9 times. I think their backs had like 6 carries in total because Lamar had 8. I think he had like 7 or 8 carries himself. Maybe it might be less than 6 carries for our backs. We did not run the ball. I'm just sitting here so confused. This is the thing about the Ravens. Sometimes they'll pick up certain guys and then not utilize them. Why did you bring Dalvin Cook here if you weren't even going to throw him on the field to attempt to do something? The Ravens go down early in this game. They responded with a touchdown. Kansas City went back down the field, scored a touchdown, and that was all she wrote. They immediately quit on the run game. They didn't even attempt to try to get the run game going. And it's really frustrating. And this is one of the things that makes people sit back and say Harbaugh has to go. Because he says one thing, but the other thing happens. Once again, Harbaugh says something to the media about what they should be doing, what they're going to try to do in the second half in a playoff game. And once again, they proceed to not do that. Harbaugh came out of halftime. They interviewed him, and he says, we got to look to get the run game going. Got to look to run the football, try to establish that in the second half. They didn't do that. They completely ran away from the run. Why are you running away from what you do best? You dominate with your run game. We didn't get over 100. We are under 100 yards. Understand this. In this game, we rushed for under 100 yards. The Bills last week ran all over that defense and never gave up on running the football. But for us, we quit running the football early in the game. It's like we decided we were going to air it out, which is not what our offense is. I just don't understand what is so difficult for the Ravens to just sit back and just play their game in the playoffs. Like, stick to who you are. Run the football. Run the football. You had Roquan Smith talking about it last week against the Texans in our Wired. You run the football, you hold them from running the football, you run the football, you play great defense, you win in the playoffs. We didn't do that. We didn't run the football. I'm so confused as to what Todd Monken was doing today. I don't understand. It was very conflicting. The offense, after scoring that first touchdown, that was it for the offense. Lamar finds Zay in the end zone, that was it for the offense. Because after that, they could not stop getting in their way. The entire rest of the half, offense wasn't doing anything. Lamar gets stripped for a fumble that's recovered by Kansas City because Ronnie Stanley can't block worth a damn in that situation. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. First half was a complete disaster. You were down by 10 heading into the second half. The defense wasn't playing well. The offense wasn't playing well. One side stepped up. The other side didn't. It just felt like throughout the entirety of the game, they just kept trying to throw the football and launch it down the field instead of just running the football and taking what the defense gives you. Like, I don't understand. Sometimes I just think about these offensive coordinators and these guys, and it's just like, the game plan is so simple for you. The adjustment's so simple for you, and yet you keep trying to do other things that's not working. It's different if the Ravens kept trying to force the ball by running the football and they're just getting stuffed over and over again. They didn't force the run. They abandoned the run so early in the game that you don't even know what would have happened if they did establish the run. So they abandoned the run, and then they just stopped taking what the defense gives them. Lamar just kept trying to look downfield and launching the ball into a secondary that was covering everything up. Nobody was going to get open, Lamar. What are you looking for down there? It was conflicting. Todd Monken's game plan, this was the worst game plan he's had all season. It's right up there with some of the games we've seen down the stretch, like the Colts game. It's right up there with the Colts game probably, because it was just so awful that they just ran away from what they do best. And you're just so confused as a Ravens fan as to why they refuse to run the ball. It's like they're allergic to running the football in the biggest moments. You really feel that way because the minute the pressure was put on them, they gave up a touchdown, they just folded. The offense just folded and never got over the hump. But what makes things even worse is when they finally started to get something going in the pass game, turnovers started to pile up. Zay Flowers had a hell of a game, had over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. Zay Flowers is going to get a lot of criticism from the Ravens flock because of what he did. Zay Flowers makes the big play down the field. When we're down by 10, he makes a big play down the field. I believe it's in the fourth quarter at this point. He makes a big play. No, actually, it's towards the end of the third quarter, heading into the fourth quarter. He makes a big play. Lamar finds him open, streaking down the sideline. He catches it. He goes down to the 10. Okay. He then proceeds to taunt the defender that's on the floor and gets called for a taunting penalty. Why is he taunting him in these situations? I don't know. Rookie mistake? Call it what you want. But that's the first thing that Zay Flower messes up on. The very second thing that pretty much damn near put this game on ice, Lamar Jackson finds Zay Flowers open. Flowers catches the ball. He runs. He's at the 5. He dives into the end zone, but he lost the football. He tries to dive to score the touchdown, but here comes the Chiefs defense, and shout out to them. That's a hell of a defensive play. They knock the football out of Zay's hands before he crosses the pylon. It's a fumble recovered by the Chiefs. Turnover on downs. It's not even a turnover on downs. It's just it becomes a touchback. So Zay Flowers tries to dive there, which I don't blame him, but you've got to protect the football. If you're going to dive, lower your shoulders, dive, and protect the football. Another rookie mistake. That one nearly put the game out of reach, and it's just like you can't recover from that. So Zay Flowers is going to get a lot, and I mean a lot of criticism for that one because it felt like he scores that touchdown there. The entire momentum of the game changes. It's a 3-point game. With the way the Ravens defense was playing, we felt we could have got that. But Zay Flowers fumbling there ultimately pretty much, it felt like it put the nail on the coffin. And no matter what the Ravens did for the rest of the fourth quarter, they just weren't going to win this game. It was that type of night. When you get that happening to you, you just know it's not your game. You just know that. So Zay played well, but that mistake that cost him the game potentially is going to be talked about by a lot of Ravens fans. Gus didn't get to do much. Justice Hill didn't get to do much. I don't even know why we signed Dalvin Cook if we're not going to use him. He just got a roster spot. Congratulations on getting on a roster spot and doing absolutely nothing. It's not your fault. They don't use you. I don't understand why the Ravens would bring him here if they're not going to use him. At least throw him on the field. Why is he here? Mark Andrews returned and didn't really do much. Isaiah Likely wasn't really utilized. Nelson Aguilar, he had a couple catches, but that was cool. Bateman barely got targeted, and they waited far too long to even try to get the ball to Odell. The passing game was a mess. The running game was non-existent. The play calling was terrible. And Lamar Jackson, I don't know what he was doing today. Speaking of Lamar, we got to talk about him because this game, he was so indecisive. He didn't know what he wanted to do. He just kept standing in the pocket, standing, waiting. Open lanes for him to take off and utilize his legs. Waiting. What are you waiting for, Lamar? Nothing's open. You think the secondary is just going to crack and you're finally going to get something? Lamar Jackson was so indecisive today. He had ample opportunities to utilize his legs, pick up the first down, and continue to drive. Yet he just kept standing in the pocket, trying to look down the field. There was also opportunities to check the ball down, and those opportunities didn't really go anywhere because there were times where either Lamar just didn't throw the check down when it's right there, and either got a sack or had to throw the ball away, or when he tried to throw the check down, they just couldn't connect incomplete. I don't know what Lamar was doing today. And that interception was strictly on him. No one else is to blame. Why the hell would you throw that pass into triple coverage? That was the dumbest throw you could have made. That's all on Lamar. That is all on Lamar. That was a terrible throw, a terrible decision, and he's going to have to deal with the criticism because that play right there was just awful by Lamar Jackson. Just awful. That was a horrible decision. I don't remember the last time I've seen Lamar make a decision that terrible this season. That was an awful decision to try to force it to Likely in the end zone when he's triple covered. I don't know what Lamar was doing there. It was awful. So the offense all day never got the rhythm, never even tried to get in the rhythm with the run game. It was constantly a mess. The passing game was a mess. Lamar was indecisive. Todd Monken was calling a terrible game. Meanwhile, the defense was keeping us alive in the second half and we could never capitalize on it. At the end of the day, the Ravens are going home knowing they couldn't capitalize on their defense. 3 turnovers cost you the game. Meanwhile, Kansas City, clean. 0 turnovers. That's why they're heading to the Super Bowl. Simple as that. Now, of course, we already know this team's going to get backlash, and personally, I don't care. I'm not interested in listening to the backlash. In fact, I'm going 0 dark 30. I'm not going to get involved with anything social media-wise. I'm not watching any of the sports shows or none of that. I don't care. I'm going 0 dark 30. I'm going to enjoy my time off until the Super Bowl. That's just what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to get involved in any of this talk or discussion about the Ravens. But yeah, anything that they get in the media, anything they say, they deserve it. You had the opportunities. You had the chances. Everything was there for you. The opportunities were there for you, and you were never able to capitalize. And every time you had a chance to bring the game close, you made a mistake. That's why you're going home. They're going to crucify Lamar, and at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it. He's going to have to deal with it, and he's going to be blamed rightfully so because I don't know what he was doing in this game at times. Just indecisive, not knowing when to take off and not knowing when to check the ball down and just holding on to the ball for 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds as if someone's going to get open. I don't know what he was doing all game. It was a bad look for Lamar. It was a bad look for the offense. And I don't know what to do, honestly. I don't know where we go from here because it just seems like the Ravens are never going to learn their lesson. Why do they keep going away from what works for them? You are a running first football team. You're a team that establishes the run and that gets things going with your passing game. This franchise was built on running the football and playing dominant defense. Yet every time we get into the playoffs with Lamar Jackson, the most dynamic quarterback in football, we can never run the football. We just move away from it. Todd Monken, I don't know what you were doing today. This was an awful, awful, awful day from you. Awful day from you, awful day from the Ravens offense, and just conflicting day from Lamar Jackson and these Ravens receivers. I don't know what to say. I'm honestly in shock. I wish I could be mad. I wish I could go off and spaz and just yell at this team and call them garbage and stuff. That'd be easier to do as a fan. But I'm not going to do that. Nor am I going to call this team garbage because we know what this team's capable of. All I can sit back and say is they did not play up to standard. They choked at home. They choked at home. That's all that you could say. They had all the opportunities all of them. All the opportunities right in front of them. A trip to Vegas was standing right in front of them. And they never went to go claim it because the offense could never get out of their own way. And they never played to their game. It's frustrating. But at the end of the day, you play a game like that, you deserve to go home. So get ready for the offseason, guys. Time to figure out what you're going to do next. You're one game from the Super Bowl, and once again, you fall. We'll see what happens next year. Obviously, this team's still very talented. You got a lot of pieces, and you want to continue to build on that, and you want to continue to add to that. You want to continue to retain what you have. But it's going to be a tough offseason trying to keep everybody here. You might have wasted an opportunity by choking at home, but it is what it is. It's part of the game. Kansas City, once again, congrats. You're heading to the Super Bowl. Best of luck against either the Lions or Niners. I believe they're playing right now. The Lions had a huge lead, so I don't know if the Niners have pulled off the comeback or the Lions just continue to pour it on. I don't know what's going to happen. Either way, it's going to be Kansas City versus San Francisco or Kansas City versus Detroit in the Super Bowl. And we'll just have to go from there at the end of the day. With that being said, guys, I'm going to cut it here. There's nothing else to really discuss. Ravens fall short 17-10 in the AFC title game. Everyone's just completely crushed, disappointed. Probably the most painful loss the Ravens have had since 2011. And it just leaves you with so many questions about what they could have done in this game to get it done. But there's nothing else to really be said. They're going home, so be it. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for watching, and that's all I got. I'm out of here. Peace.